All right. So we are live now, and I can see that we have quite a lot of participants joining. We'll get started just in about 2 minutes. So you can set your Facebook page, get ready to take some notes. Great. All right. So welcome everyone, and very good afternoon. As you can see on the screen here, today I have my good friend Inas with me, and this is obviously a new initiative that MAHRP is starting. We always like to bring something new. So we thought we want to start something new while many of us are exploring the options of learning through different spectrums of virtual opportunities, whether it's a webinar or whether it's the live conversations that you have or whether it's a panel discussion. So we came up with this idea of HR perspective conversations, with industry leaders, HR professionals. And the whole idea is that we want to give an opportunity for everyone in the community to hear our views and perhaps get engaged. This is more sort of a spontaneous activity that we do, so we don't let we don't require people to pre-register. They can join wherever they are. So today we are live on my Facebook page. We try to connect us with the LinkedIn, so we're not able to do that, but hopefully for the next event we will definitely have it. And also, you can go to our live, check in the comments column. You can start posting comments and questions that we ask. I can see that you already have some, one or two comments, so that's good. So once again, welcome all the participants who are watching live this program, HR Perspective Conversations with MAHRP. Our first guest of this program is Inas. Inas is a seasoned hotelier and a professional HR colleague who I also had the privilege to work with him. He started his career with hotel functional operations, and then he became involved in the field of building people, training them, managing the HR aspect, and then his last position was at the largest integrated resort project in the Maldives. He was an opening member there. Many of you probably know the Crossroad Maldives project, where he was the resort manager of Sai Lagoon. And today I have Inas as my guest, and we will be speaking about the current industry situation because of this pandemic of COVID-19, and what are the challenges we are having right now, and how do we see the future evolves. I'm sure this will be a very helpful conversation for all of you. So, Inas, would you like to say a few words before we get started?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Afif and MAHRP, for giving us this opportunity and combined with Jobsicle to host this event and to say, to express my opinion about the current situation and how our life is going to evolve right after the pandemic. As some of you already know, my name is Inas, and I'm here from Jobsicle. Some of you already know Jobsicle is the biggest employee and employer-based platform in the Maldives that posts jobs, and we also have an app that helps people to connect with employers and employees and with a lot of features. And I'm very happy to be here to talk about the job market and our economy and the business status, and give my opinion on several aspects in regards to human resources and support this conversation and give you lights of how we see our future in Maldives, looking into various aspects and the business elements to see how it goes. I'm very happy to be here and nice to meet you all, and hope everybody is safe. That's the most important part, because safety is the priority. And unless you are safe, there is nothing to look after or look forward to. So stay healthy, and that's the most important part. Thank you, Afif, and glad to be here.
Yes, so all the participants that are watching, feel free to go to the comments column on our Facebook page and just write comments or greetings, or any comments that you want to share, or any questions that you want me to answer. So, our topic obviously today is a lot about the current situation. So, my first question to you is, what is your take on the current situation, and how do you see the economy of Maldives coping up post this pandemic, and also the current situation?
Yes, I think many of us have been looking into different platforms, understanding, building your own confidence, looking into news and seeing what's really going to look like after this situation, or how we are going to go back to this new normal, or is there anything different, or will it be the same? I mean, these questions, and to comfort ourselves, we kind of wanted to be happy by believing that nothing's going to change and everything's going to be normal. And most of us are having question by ourselves. Whether I'm going to have the job, whether my company is going to be there, whether the resort is still going to be open. So these questions are being quite often asked by ourselves during this situation. And I have done some research in the past week, since we are going to share some of our opinion through Cater Global, Glassdoor, and join a few webinars to give you insight of what I think we are going to go through. Now, let me start. Let me tell you that it does look bad. Let's not, soften the surface. It looks bad, but the world that we know is not going to end, and at least I hope so. So we have experienced similar situations in 100 years before. Basically, war situation, as we all know, in 1918, when the world was hit with the another flu, which was more deadly. 25% of the world went through this and they got affected, and 17 to 50 million people were dead. And what is worse in that situation is that during that time, the economic situation was different. The communication platforms were not existed. The health sector was not up to where we were now. So that's why they went through such a tough time. But today is different. But still, we need to see how it evolves and how we're going to see the companies surviving through this process. And it is very important for us to see that. Now, for that, obviously, a lot of it is important for us to see what other countries are going through, and whoever has overcome through the situation, what are they going to do? Now, the first country to pick for that is China, obviously, because China has opened their economy. Their 90% of the economy is back. Their businesses are open, their shops are open, their schools are full, and they are probably, I mean, they think that, I mean, they are back in terms of economy. But the sad thing is that the economy is not functioning because we all depend on other countries. For example, the hotel occupancies are down by 75% in China. The consumer footfall and recovery is down by half. The people are not flying because other countries are restricted. 75% is gone down. It is hard to do business with social distancing. And that's what we are going to see in the coming weeks and months. China, obviously, when we look down to China again, after when they released, I mean, they lifted the lockdown, the businesses start to announce their bankruptcy, which we have not seen in Maldives. So basically, what we are seeing, hearing at the moment is not the reality yet, but we might see good newses and bad newses in the coming weeks. Some of the good newses are going around. The resort workers and the factories and the private offices are given the permission to open. So the economy is turning in a positive note. But we need to understand that the coming month, at least 2-3 months, is going to be tough. And do not freak out or stress yourself, and expect the reality and prepare yourself. And that's why we are here to talk about key elements of those. And when we look into the world, the key financial factors and other factors obviously indicates and tells us that the world is going to experience a recession. But what we don't know is how long the recession is going to take place and how bad it is going to be. But unfortunately, when we look or relate this to our condition, our country, our economy, our sector, what I believe is the lowest paid employees will tend to lose more jobs than the highest paid employers. I mean, this is because the companies will try to find alternatives to to match or to find alternatives to fill the gap of the lowest paid employees. This also tells us that the companies will look for more multi-skilled labor, and they are going to need flexing labors in most of the areas. So that's how the economy is going to look like, and in the coming weeks and months. Thank you, Afif.
Yes, I think it's quite a good overview of the situation right now in the world. We obviously there are many countries where the economies have started opening. I mean, it's interesting what also we see around the world, where initially at the early stage of the pandemic, the unemployment rate, went quite high. As the economies reopened, we saw that the unemployment went, is going down. So definitely it's good. I can see we have some comments coming through there. So thank you. So let's talk a little bit about this. You know, uh, Give us some insight of the job market in the Maldives, and from your analysis and experience through Jobsticle and other forms. How do you see this coming right now? What's the situation of the job in current job situation in the Maldives? What's your take on that?
I think, first of all, when we look at the labor market of Maldives, I believe there will be lots of changes that's going to take place in the months. First of all, there will be terms and condition changes to the terms and conditions of the work that comes out of the learning that we have gone through this pandemic situation. And more short-term contracts are going to be needed compared to what we were experiencing in the past with long-term contract. People will look for more flexible or flexing labor, and more multi-skilled employees will be demanded. I think that's going to be the reality after this situation. Also, I think when we compare the look into the Maldives as a whole, I think we have learned a lot through this process where industries like fisheries has been neglected, and we've been for going behind the tourism sector, and now it's time for us that we have realized there are other sectors that needs to be developed, such as tourism. I mean, apart from the tourism sector, that will help the economy to come up stronger. Now, when we look into the tourism sector focused, I think the companies will be heavily focused on the performance management system more than ever, because those systems existed in the resorts before for the namesake, but I think it's time for us to execute a proper efficiency and effectiveness in the resort sector to eliminate and to control the cost. The resort sector or tourism sector will look more for the manning guide and control in the cost of labor, and that includes private sector. We all know that we have been managing 25 to 30% of the entire revenue go is the manning the cost of manning. I think this is going to be revised, and there will be changes to that as well. In the short term, obviously, there will be some good news have been already going around. People have been asked to go back to the resort, but I think in the short term, you will be expected, or we will have the jobs will be less paid compared to what we used to have until we get back to the normal operation. Now, when we look into the current situation, obviously in July, the government has announced that we will open the border, but we don't know the full guideline yet. But everything depends on the customer's perspective. That's what I believe. So depending on which nationalities are going to come, which airlines are going to be landing, and I think in July, not many resorts are going to be open because not many people can afford to run an expensive operation by not having a baseline occupancy. So some that I know are opening their borders, opening their resorts with 5% occupancy expectation, thinking to grow 5% every month. This is also one strategy some of the resorts are having. When we look into the job market, I think it is important for us to know that it's going to be changed. People will look for multi-skilled employees such as waiters who can do gardening, housekeeping, room boys who can do gardening or any other job, the front office GROs who can carry the luggages. People will look for very controlled manning, and that's what the business and the job market looks like.
Yes, I remember we had a conversation earlier in one of our event where one of our speaker specifically mentioned that the future of work, but wherever it is, I think it will. I mean, it probably was always supposed to be like that, where we measure people's performance by results that they deliver. I
Yeah.
think the productivity has to directly link with it, but somehow, obviously, the complex performance management system sometimes either tend to underrate or
Yeah.
overrate the performance. And obviously, this was an issue in many companies, regardless of their situation. And you specifically highlight the organizations are going to be focused very specifically on making sure that their performance is well tracked, well monitored, and merit employees based on the results that they produce. And
Yeah.
that really is what we see in the world right now. Let's move our conversation a little bit into a
One more thing, Afif, I think I also think that there's a very positive side to this story as well, where we knew that with the situation, a lot of expatriates and baseline, basically the staff has left the country, gone back to their families. So this gives Maldivians who are out there plenty of opportunities to come back, because it's going to be costly for the companies to bring them back. And obviously, we need expatriates, but we need Maldivians more. So you as a Maldivian, this is your chance to get ready, be prepared, and get engaged with the company that you would like to work for. The companies in the past obviously had 20 or 10% of the disengaged staff. This is also a time that the companies will look forward to see motivated, engaged staff that will help them to grow or move to the next stage. So that's also very important to consider.
Yes, I agree, and I think we say that every pandemic or every crisis, or every, I suppose, an unfortunate situation always got two sides of it. One is, it's all depends on the way we take it. We can take it as an opportunity, or we can take it as a situation where we feel hopeless and we feel that there's nothing we can do. But I believe in this situation, there are many good things that have happened. And one of those good things is definitely for people that probably has been doing the same job for a longer time, they even found a better way of doing work, right? That people, obviously in the hospitality industry, which is the largest economic occupation in the country, and our data shows that out of every 10 people employed in the Maldives, 6 of them are related directly or indirectly with the hospitality industry. So that's quite a big number. Hospitality industry, we need to go. I mean, we need to be on the floor to provide service, at least majority, but some service can be provided from home. So there has been some great things that have happened due to this, but we're not yet, there to declare this pandemic is over. It's probably the very beginning, still at the stage. So I want to focus our conversation into an area where, if you could please share your opinion, what could be the best way to get employees prepared and becoming a winning candidate after the pandemic? So, if you see that you want to, for example, a new job, or you're already in an existing job, right? Or even
Yeah.
if you want to change your career or your job to, another company, how can one prepares now for the future? What tips you can give?
Very good question. I think one of the greatest wish and also an excuse that we all had in the past is that we don't have time to develop or invest in our own skill. Now, with this current situation, we are all left with extra time in our hand that we don't know what to do. So we tend to go to Netflix and watch the series and play cards and God knows what. So what I think is that it is very important that we invest this time that we have, extra time that we have in our hand, to make sure that we are ready for the next stage. Now, going into the question, what will make you as a winning candidate for your next application? In my view, there are majorly 5 things that we can do or you can do during this time. The number one, the first part is that updating your CV. I mean, updating your CV, really things that, updating your email, phone numbers, beautifying it, making it to a proper format, because 70% of the time the candidates fail because their CV is not updated or not properly done. I think this is a good time for us to look into the whole aspect and update our CV, and mention the keywords in the CV, keywords that the employers are looking, that attracts them, because the only way for you as an employee to show yourself or to express yourself to an organization is through a piece of paper that is called CV. So this is very important, and we in Maldives, I don't think we give enough emphasis on this aspect, and I think it's a good time for you to look into the watch videos and learn yourself, see how you can do it. Now, I just want to share an example, a situation that I went through actually yesterday, because we support through JobSeeker various candidates and youth that ask questions and ask for the guidance. So we made a call yesterday, and I tried to help an 18-year-old kid staying in Mali, struggling with their family, wants to go to a job. So I asked him to send me his CV before I make a call and guide him through the process. So he sent me a CV, and I looked into the CV, and when I opened the email says pubg.live@gmail.com, and he attached the CV. I mean, first of all, obviously it is funny, but then I was very sad to see that. And that's the reality, because our youth does not have that information, or we need to work extra hard to educate the youth to make sure that they are ready when they go out for the market and out to the market and look for jobs. I mean, these are the little things that makes a big difference and impression when it comes to the application. So I think the first thing you can do is to update your CV. Second thing I think very important is invest in your current skills or acquire new skills. Throughout this pandemic situation, I learned, for example, video editing, audio editing, and there are a few other skills that I love learning that I did not have time, and I have gone through videos and looked into those skills and upgraded myself. I'm not talking about myself only, but this is a good time for someone to learn more and be more better person in your own world than you were before. And if you want to change your field or learn extra skills and IT knowledge or any other knowledge, I think this is a very good time for you to do that. And I suggest you to do that, because people will be looking for multi skills in the coming future. The third thing that you can do to make yourself a winning candidate during this time is practice for audio and video interviews. And virtual interviews is the future. I mean, how often have you practiced your video skills or audio skills? This is a question that you need to ask, because when you get called from a company, and I assume that most of the organization will start to do the video calls from now onwards because of the social distancing and extra cost involved in and transportation and everything. And as an employee, as a job seeker, I think it is very important for you to prepare during this time, try out some audio, video calls, and make sure yourself you are ready and you know how to do those things, and you find a good platform to do it. Then you will be ready for such interviews. The fourth thing, Afif, that I think is very important is also learn to be flexible, because do not limit yourself with one skill. Try to expand your skill set, try to go out of the box, and try to become more and more useful to an organization, because I think the organizations are looking into cost effective processes during this time, and it is very important for them to hire somebody who can do 2 or 3 jobs. So this time is a good time for us to invest on those. And the last thing is obviously stay positive. That's the last thing that you can do. I mean, one of the most important thing actually. We all fall into 4 different categories. Some of us has the job, are still paid. Some of us are paid less, but we still have the job. And some of us have been asked to go home on no pay leave and wait. Basically, we don't know how long. And the others has lost their job. So out of these 4 categories, obviously the last 3 people who falls into the last 3 categories must be very, very stressful for you. You have to take your family expenses, and staying at home with a less income, that's not easy. However, this crisis, like any other crisis, which I believe is going to be past, the employers will come back, economy will come back stronger. Maldives that we know we all know that the Maldives has shortage of labor in the past months. That's why we depend so much on expatriates. So there is a potential positive side to that, that we will have more jobs for locals coming in the short period of time, probably in August, September, if I can give you a time frame. But I think that's very important for you to be ready for that period. So let's use this period to make sure that we prepare ourselves. In our platform Jobsticle, we also have interesting, simple CV formats and guidance that we provide to the job seekers. If you come to our platform, you will find those things and guidance from our side as well. So there are a lot of things that we can do, but I just highlighted a few 5 key things that I think is important that everybody can do to become a useful person and be ready for the next coming weeks.
Yes, I mean, you shared some gold there, I think, and I also see there's some great comments coming from our viewers. That some great. This is definitely. I think this is a great opportunity, and my take on this is, this is a great opportunity we have, and this time that we are having now, we may never get that in our lifetime. Who knows, right? So
Exactly.
what you do today really matters, and there are some people who proudly says, they spend 8 hours on Netflix, and it's all right. I mean, if you love Netflix and you watch something that's helpful for you in Netflix, perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it has to be something that add values to you, and if it doesn't add values to you, like you just mentioned, you rather want to do something else, right? So great comments out there. And I just want to, in this moment, I want to take a question from our audience. We
Yes.
receive a question there from Aisha, and Aisha posted a question which says that, what do you think so far the HR departments of companies and organizations in the Maldives has acted since the pandemic? So I suppose our question is more about what do you think that they have done better or lesser in terms of the current situation? What's your take on this? Are we doing enough?
Very good question. I think I've been in the group as human resources directors group, Viber group, which been very effective and active in the past months. HR team has been working very hard in different organizations in tourism sector and other parts to make sure that we cater, we provide our support to the staff. And I think we also, everybody is learning through this process, and some of the resorts and then some of the areas are affected more than the others. Throughout the whole process, we shared a lot of opinions and ideas, and a lot of people have great value, added great value to this process. What I think is, obviously, the first stage is a lot of good action has been taken. The government could not let the people to go back to their homes, so lots of organizations, mainly the resorts where the people are stuck, they hosted different exercises, elements, and entertainment to keep the people engaged, which is a very important part of the welfare when it comes to welfare of the team. The other thing is, I think, when it comes to the post-pandemic, HR departments and HR professionals, I see preparing a lot to welcome the staff back to the resort with a lot of training, because what we are going to see in the next coming months is all about training. During the opening of the resort requires a lot of training, and throughout the whole process, people need education, learning process. So there will be lots of training, and I think the HR department and HR professionals are doing a lot. What, yes, can we do better? Of course we can, and obviously learning from what we have gone through, the communication platforms, group communications, faster information to the staff. Is essential, and when the staff, the moment we send them back to the home, we could do more proper back of the house, the renovations and things that we have planned in the past. So there are a few suggestions and ideas that we could do during this time of it.
Yeah, very good. And I think it's there's, as I said, repeated, it's an opportunity. So it really depends on. I mean, HR professionals, we have great opportunity to make the board of directors, the CEO, the managing directors and the general managers of the companies to believe that we are the people that drives the result of the organization. And this is an opportunity. So we don't have to wait for the top leader in the organization for us to do something. We have to take the lead and bring what's best for our people, whether it's communication activities or whether it's checking on them and anything else that we could do just to make people feel that they are valued still at this time. I also want to take one more question from our participant, Muhammad Ghani. He asked this question. He says that this question is from an HR perspective.
Yeah.
What could be the reason why it's tough to find a job in the tourism industry, especially people with no prior experience? What's your take on this?
That's a very interesting question, because we are working currently as we speak on few aspects that we can support this process. One of the key reasons why people don't get first entrance ticket or golden ticket to the tourism sector is because they lack experience, and there's a gap from where they are towards the industry, because our curriculum and tourism modules that we have in place are not fully equipped to give an insight of how the operation looks like, how the living in the resort looks like, how the food works, how the transportation works, or what is food and beverage, what is stewarding department. Nobody has any clue. And then it is also from the resort perspective, it is very risk. It involves a high risk for them to bring somebody completely fresh, because not many resorts have enough time to bring somebody's up to the standard or basic standard of living in the resort. So there needs to be a body that can help to educate people, provide vocational training to make sure that the people are ready and knows how to live in the resorts. Because one thing is to do the job, but living in the resort environment first 2 months or 3 months could be very tough. So this comes down to the sessions that me and Afif, we both been part of it in the past, apprentice program.
Yeah.
This has been very successful in the Maldives, and a lot of resorts like One and Only, Four Seasons, Lux, and many other places have done very successful apprentice programs. And I think more and more resorts needs to get into this process where the education part can be done in Male, modules can be done in a building, but for the vocation, but the practical part, they needs to go to the resort. So the proper, it doesn't need to be a 2-year program or 1-year program. It can be 6 months program, just to give the basic insight of how living and working in a resort looks like. Because our youth are very smart compared to, I mean, not before, but I'm pretty sure they will pick up very fast and they will get used to it, but they need to get the basic knowledge. That's what is lacking, and that's why it is hard to get into the resort without that filling that gap.
Yes, and for Muhammad Ghanem, it's a very, very good question. And as you touched base on that, when we, at MAHRP, our association, our board, our advisory, we believe that it is a very important responsibility that we have to serve our nation. And on top of the agenda that we have is to how can we bring more, locals into forefront lines in terms, and of course, because we are globally connected, and a good advantage of globalization is that you get to learn skills from different parts of the world, right? So we have had some wonderful experience that we done through this globalization and connecting around the world. I'm referring having workers from different parts of the world, and I think we and at MAHRP we you will hear very soon different programs that we will be bringing to you. And Inaz, I know that you are working on an online apprenticeship program that you want to start. The whole idea is that you want to teach the theory part now during this pandemic, and there are a couple of colleagues that you're putting together, and then once the pandemic is over, that you're going to have those people to go to resorts and do the practical part. If you could give a bit of snapshot of this, that would be wonderful.
Thank you, Afif. Yes, we are about 70% of the modules are completed. We are working with the lecturers. We are trying to do an online apprentice program free of charge for everybody. So basically, how we have programmed this this is that we are trying to do it in 2.5 months period, with weekend classes that anybody can log in from their phone through their headset and listen to what the lecturers are saying and look into the screen, which will give a lot of information, and the sessions will be available for them to redo it in case if they have doubt. So we will be covering the basic hospitality, all the modules. That includes some tips on language skills, some information about the overall aspect of human resources, living in the resort, communication, smiling, getting ready for the job, and many other elements like overall food and beverage, overall front office. So the whole pack is going to be delivered in about, let's say, 2 months time on weekend classes. And once it is completed, then we give the participants choice to choose whether it's food and beverage or front office or finance or whichever direction they want to go, and we can connect that expert from one of the section and try to give that online experience. So we are doing this through Jobsicle application, and also we will be partnering with MAHRP to get their help to launch it. So that's where the process is going to look like, and I'm very happy to share that information as we speak, because we were working on this and we are very close to that.
Yes, that's great. Before we take any further question from the audience, I'd like to ask you, this question as, as the obviously as the economy gets reopened, we have 154 resorts in the Maldives in full operation prior to this pandemic. All of them are closed now. But there are some resorts which are sort of partially open because there's still some guests, living there. Some guests have been staying for 70 days or more in the Maldives. Probably Maldives is a great place to be in quarantine, especially if you're in a resort environment. I just want to ask you this question: what role is the job skill playing right now to promote the future jobs that are going to come into the industry because of the pandemic? And what assistance can the public, can somebody who's looking for a job, can ask for job skill?
Thank you, Afif. Now, in the Jobsicle, in the past few weeks, we have done some developments. We have given new templates for CVs that people can use. We have done the new dashboards for the job seekers, and we are also building new communication channels. We are also creating a talent bank that we are selecting the certain group of people from their application and trying to create them a pool that can help employers to get the right talents. Now, those functions are available on the website form, and now we are working on the mobile application form that will help people to make it easier and convenient for everybody to use. So stay tuned. Obviously, we will be giving more information, but the most important thing is that employers, when it comes to employers, we have been in touch with many organizations that are partners with us, and we will be proudly announcing that we will be giving free access users to every single resort for 3 months usage. So all the resorts that are currently basically out of 157 resorts, we are going to give all the resorts free of charge user and posting information that will give our community, 16,000 people, a right platform to get most updated information about the resort jobs and all. And that's where we are going at the moment.
Yes, so if you are watching this, Jobsicle is a partner in our conversation today, and Inaz is the CEO. And you're most welcome to go to their Facebook page or download the app and use and see how they work. Certainly, it could help you, especially if you're somebody who's looking for a job. I want to take a question from one of our participants here. And Shifa got a question, and Shifa's question is: we all know that pandemic has tremendously affected the employment. What will be your personal recommendation and suggestions to employees who are affected badly and employers who has taken certain decisions on the pay scale of employees? So I suppose the part of the question where you want to address is, what's the message for those who probably, I suppose, we know that in some sectors, some lost their job, there's only reduced pay. So what would be a message of encouragement for them? And also, the second part of your question answer could be based around what can the employers do better, considering in the future economic impact.
Thank you, Afif. I think the second part has been addressed through things that we can do during this time period, but I would like to highlight few areas such as this year, next 6 months, and the forecast of 6 months. Now, obviously, the tourism world that we know, we always prepare for festive in June, and we do the order in July and August, and we have a big bang festive every year. Now, this is not going to happen in Maldives this year. That means we are going to lose the cream of the tourism sectors. Basically, it's going to affect the budget and the overall business strategy. This means the demand for the labors is going to be lower than what we expected. That's going to be between 4 to 5 months down the line. But when we look into June and July, to Shifa's question, I think the most important thing that we all need to do at the moment is be patient. I know it's very difficult, but the reality is, please do expect late replies, because July and August people are not going to look for many people. In July, even the country is open. Not many countries are ready, or not many people are going to fly out, and few of the resorts will be open, but they are not going to look for full or even half of the many resorts will open only with the minimum coverage, because they have to look for their cost during this period. So be patient, but your turn is coming from August, September onwards. Hopefully that is going to be a good period for resorts to look for new talents. And the other thing is that, as I said, we have a good mix of expatriates and Maldivians working in this industry. But for the first time, over many years, that the local talents will be more accessible for the employees and highly demanded. And I think there is a great opportunity for everybody over there.
Yes, that's wonderful, and I think the message of encouragement also for those who probably were affected because of this pandemic is that don't give up. This is an experience that millions and thousands of people around the world are going through, and if hold on to it and stay focused, and perhaps use this opportunity to learn some new skill or help someone, and you never know, you will be ready by the time when the economy opens, and you could even start a new job or a new type of you could have an opportunity to deliver a new type of a skill. I would like to give you one more question in us here. I know we set this for 45 minutes, so we're quite good with the timing. Now it's 3:45, so we spend about 40 minutes on our conversation. We're also taking some questions from the audience. We will address some of those questions that are coming through. I also see we have a very Almeida who actually work, I think, with you, Inas, and she's probably but a lot of comments there, and she's giving some good tips there. So thank you very much for being a very active participant. She mentioned that this period teaches us the resilience, and obviously that is something you have to build within yourself. So thanks for commenting on that. I just put the comments on the screen, or the viewers can also see and can see the comment there. So the question to you, Inas, is this. What areas of expertise you think is more needed for tourism industry, and what do you think about the timeline? So when we reopen, obviously we know that there will be some sort of new jobs will create, because they will have to focus more on the extra sanitization program and other aspects of it. So what's your take on that? Would there be new job opportunities, and what was the timeline for this?
Well, to be very honest, for the next 3 months or 4 months, let's look into the whole current situation. The resorts will look into their minimum operation. They will look into minimum people that they can need to run the generator, minimum people they need to run their 1 or 2 restaurants, keeping some of the restaurants closed. They will look into less number of people for front office who can also carry the luggage and also become a GRO and provide information. So we are looking into a very small minor operation of the entire resort sector. So this does not give a lot of job opportunities during this time. That's why I told everybody that we have to go through this process stage by stage, but be patient and invest on learning. However, the lower Well, basically, the low-paid jobs will be more demanded given that if they can multi-skill, and we do not expect higher, bigger positions coming out in anytime sooner. Having said that, I still hope for the best. November and December, I'm still hoping for the best, and first quarter of 2021 is also looking good for now. Looking into or attending different webinars, and I think for the next 3 months, obviously, there won't be a bigger movement, but there will be a positive trend from then onwards.
Yeah, very, very good. And I think it's definitely a good thought right there. So let's take a question from one of our participant. And there are obviously a couple of questions. And I'd like to take this question from Ali Rashid. And Ali Rashid says, do you think it's a good opportunity for the employers to recruit qualified locals rather than expatriates when they are trying to resume the operation in the new reality or the new normal, we call as it is? So what's your take on this?
100% agreed, because the if you really look into the current situation, obviously the local talents will be more accessible, more affordable, and bringing expatriate is going to be more expensive for them as well, that they have to consider. And also looking into the kind of a market that we are looking into currently, nobody knows like the trend of the occupancy, so people are not going to look for that big risk. It's not a sad situation for expatriates, but we will need them because they have done so much for our country. But I think being a local and also looking into the opportunities for local, there are lots of locals who are with qualifications and knowledge and experience that are available in the market, that are looking for the jobs, and this is a great time. But again, we as locals or whoever it is, we need to be prepared. We need to make sure that we are ready as a job seeker. Are we ready with our CV? Are we professionally equipped enough to speak to somebody about the job? Are we ready to go for a video interview? Are we doing enough? I mean, we need to do our part as well as a job seeker to make sure that we get those positions. But that's a great question from our colleague and my friend Ali Rashid, which we work together, and it's a very beautiful question. Love it.
Yes, wonderful. And you're right. I mean, we can't, you don't have to wait and say, well, I will see when I will wait until the government safety guideline comes. I'll wait until the border opens. I'll wait until the resort opens, right? You have to be ready, because that if you're ready, you will get into the opportunity. You will get, chance from, these opportunities that will definitely come right after this pandemic. So let's take one more question again from one of our participants. So we have a question here from Iman Nasheed. Iman says that, I do hope we still would have the opportunity to work from home even after this pandemic. Many of us, especially mothers, who are sometimes stuck at home with other responsibilities, didn't have this opportunity before, which I think is true. So her question is that, do you have such plans ahead for those who can work from home like now? So Inas, what's your take on
Yeah.
this working from home? Do you think some jobs will be required to work from home even after the pandemic? What's your take on that?
I think very positively on this. All those who learned what work from home looks like as an organization, I think they will invest more time and effort to see if that works well, because it's not necessary to have a building full of people and present in a period of time. Rather, we need to get the job done with whatever it is. So I think there will be chances that we learn this process and we will implement after the pandemic situation.
Yes, that's definitely. I just want to add on to that. Prior to this pandemic, I think working from home has been a topic where people don't really like to engage and talk, but it's definitely given an opportunity. And people are working from home. You actually measure their performance by the results that they deliver, right?
Yeah.
So I think many people became so productive working from home. They deliver results. So there will be some jobs where you can definitely, if you evaluate it, you can definitely transform that jobs to be working from home, and once in a while they can come to the office. We have a great opportunity. We say this is an opportunity because you know there's a saying, why waste a good crisis, right? Why waste a crisis?
Yeah.
Why we
Yeah.
don't learn from this, we'll never get the opportunity. So, Iman, me and Inas, we both agree that, of
Yes.
course, it has to be continued, but it depends on organizations. And perhaps in one of our conversations that will come along the way, we will actually bring an expert to talk a little bit about that, and then and see how we can enlighten on that further. So I'd like to see probably that there's another question that I could actually take on in us. Yeah,
Yep.
good. So the question that I have here for you is that, we are going to reopen the economy, and when it comes to the learning and development programs that we have to, create and deliver, obviously it has to do a lot with the mindset of the, teaching a lot, the new mindset that they have to bring to work. So we do have a question that has just come through. Is, from Ayaz, and Ayaz says, do you think it is wise to craft our training programs on coming new normal? What's your take on that?
I mean, I'm 100% sure it is very, very important. The new normal obviously is going to demand for more and more training programs, and mindset is so important, because even when the people comes back from their home, they are not, well, basically it takes some time for them to adjust. So I think it is very important to craft the training programs, and this is the time to do it. We need to engage the training managers. We need to have people, experts, and coming together on one table and designing these programs that actually is going to take all of us through the whole process. And as an organization, this is one of the best time to go back to the vision and reiterate the vision and start fresh, because the 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 culture needs to be brought back when the new normal starts, in order for them to realize, okay, this is where we used to work, this is what we are, nothing changed, or this is our new direction. So it is very important to do that.
Yes, it does, and you're right. And I think this, we, as I said earlier, to put the question into perspective, that the what we have to do teach our people more is about the mindset that they have to bring back to work, right? The mindset of, caring for each other, the mindset of being compassionate. We often hear the word, we're in this together. Well, and what it really means is that how I behave will impact everyone around me, and how you behave will impact everyone around you. So when you come back to the office and when you start facing customers and serving them, the way that you behave will have a big impact on the, on everybody else, and that's really what it means. So you can design training programs around that. And one of the colleagues, this will be our last question for this conversation. Ashraf Adnan asked this question. I would like to get a personal insight from both of us as HR professionals and leaders in the industry during this pandemic and closure of the resorts. What do you do on a daily or a weekly basis to enrich our knowledge? I know, Inas, when you left your last
Yeah,
position, you were
yeah.
the manager. What can resorts do, because the employees are away in the more
Yeah.
different parts, in different countries? What can they do to make sure the employees still are focused and they understand what's happening here?
Very good. I have actually had this conversation in the past, and I'm very happy to see this question coming. One of the most important thing that any resort or any organization do at this period of time is to check on the employees on a regular basis. They could implement Viber groups, WhatsApp groups, or whatever communication platform, but to check whether they have reached their home, or whether their family is doing okay, and anybody got affected, or are you happy, or is there anything we can support. A lot of staff might need maybe minimum little bit of a loan from the organization. It can be a smaller amount. Regardless, if there's anything that the staff needs that we can help out, so the organization needs to show love and care. That's very important. The other thing is that when it comes to the second layer, when the staff are being given the permission to go back to their home, and I think that's the best time for any organization to show them they care by investing more time and effort in cleaning the accommodation, making the rooms ready, disinfecting or changing the room allocation, making sure the sheets are fresh, and whatever they can do that doesn't cost high is very important. The other thing that is also important is that prepare for the welcome. They're going to come back. but how you treat them when they come back to the organization, the people who have worked for blood, sweat, and tears for you, is very important. That's what's gonna last, long, and people will remember that. People will remember not the crisis, but how you have treated them during this period. How what support has my organization given to me during this situation? This is what is important at the moment. So it is a good question, and I think we all love to see more and more support services and support and care given to the employees during this period of time, because everybody is going through a tough time.
Yes, I just want to add one thing, and that I mean that this is the time we have to show even more care. If we were doing things before, we have to do them even now. And one of the thing, I mean, there are different apps that you can use for it, but also you could create a simple, Facebook page, close Facebook page group for all your employees, and stay in touch with them by daily posting some messages or communication. And that's one of the best way to keep communicators flowing, right? I think there's WhatsApp groups and Viber, but a place where people can raise their concern and have one contact person that they can contact in the resort whenever they need,
Yeah,
it always helps them to be sure that there is someone that can help them. And why not that every Monday that your resort based team sends a message to all the employees. There are many ways you can do that now, and just check on them. Or why not open a virtual town hall? Well, I did a virtual town hall with our team members the other day, and we had almost all the employees on the virtual line. So these are different ways. There's hundreds of things, and I think because of this question, we'll actually post some other tips also on our Facebook page. And also, one of our participants also there wrote some great comments there. Imelda, and she wrote, she gave some suggestions. For example, like, there is so many free online learning courses and programs out there. So the learning and
yeah,
development team that are based either in the resort or off the resort, the HR team, you can coordinate with your employees and have them do these courses, because
yeah,
you may never get this opportunity again. So why waste this, right? Um,
yeah.
yes, Inas, you want to say something there?
No, go on, go on.
Yeah, okay, good. So now I just want to, close in that question. And there is obviously one last question, and I like to make a comment there, and then we probably will end.
Yeah,
One of the participants mentioned that during this pandemic, we're seeing many employees, they lost their job, they went home, they're in their islands, they probably will come back, or to Malad. So the question is, do they really have a good opportunity to come back? And my answer to that is, for sure there is. In hospitality industry, you know we can't provide service. We can't provide all the service virtually. There are some things we can do virtually, right? Or staying at home. But to give service, you got to be there, and that's really what people are paying for. So we believe that these jobs will come back. We believe that things will get better, and I am very, very optimistic that we will get into some sort of a reality, but it will take time, because the last time the world has seen a pandemic was, in 1980, and the years following 1980, people who were there back then lived through that, right? But the world is in a better place now, so which means we are going to get through this in a better form than 1980. Has any
yeah.
last remarks before we
Yeah,
close the?
I just want to add to that answer, Afif. You're right, and I think what we need to understand is that our tourism sector has grown bigger than we think. There are many resorts, more than 15 resorts in line to open this year before this crisis happens, which will probably take place in the first quarter next year. So what we are talking about here is 157 resorts that needs quite a lot of people and talents, and Maldives working population is not sufficient for now to cater all the needs of the tourism sector in terms of jobs. So you all have great opportunity. All what we need to do now is stay positive, go through the process, use this time wisely, and get ready, because even if it is not tomorrow or next week, your turn is going to come. And if you have worked before, obviously there's a high chance that you are going to come back, because you obviously will, they will need the job itself. But when it comes to the occupancy, obviously we companies will not go to full occupancy in this year or any month closer. So we have to be careful, and we have to plan our own personal life accordingly. Try to save, try to spend less, and make sure that we all survive through this process, because the future is still brighter, and that's what we always hope for. And I
Yes.
believe that.
Yeah, thank you, Vinas. And thanks to all the viewers. We're a great crowd there, so thank you very much. And thanks for all the love and care that you have shared for our speaker. Inas, I'm sure after this he's going to read it. And all the questions that you have shared. We will reach out our Facebook page later on, and then obviously do type a summary answer to all those questions, or how we see it and our view. So we hope you enjoyed this very good conversation, and we look forward having you for our next conversation in about 10 days time. So stay tuned for that. And once again, thank you very much for
Thank you.
all the viewers and everybody else who's listening, and have a nice rest of the day. Thank you.
Have a nice day, everybody. Stay safe. Bye bye.